What's up guys, Josh Olfert here back with another video. Now 2020 probably wasn't the best year for people wanting to achieve their goals, but that doesn't mean we should stop trying. Today's video is about my biggest goals for 2021. Time to think like an investor. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Josh and I am obsessed with this idea of financial independence and investing and growing my income and just creating this financial freedom that people talk about. I'm a CFP and I'm the founder of a wealth management firm. If you guys are interested in that sort of thing, make sure to help me achieve one of this year's goals by smashing that subscribe button and hitting like so that we can actually achieve some this year instead of watching things kind of fizzle away in the dust like we did in 2020 with the pandemic and all these sorts of things. But today I want to talk about the way I think about setting goals and what some of mine are, because goals are this cliche thing where you set them because they're just so easy to set. Everybody has something in life they could think about that could be better and setting some sort of goal towards that. But what people don't realize is that every goal comes with a corresponding sacrifice. You shouldn't really be thinking always about what your goals are, but maybe more about what you're willing to sacrifice to get something. So a friend of mine, James Clear, well, I mean, he doesn't know we're friends, but we're friends in my view. He has this wonderful analogy or metaphor for goal setting, which is you're in a boat, okay? And the rudder is like your goals. You can always kind of adjust your goals like you can adjust the rudder of a boat. It'll kind of change the direction. And if you change the rudder too many times, you might just kind of find yourself going in circles. So you kind of want to adjust your rudder. That's really what the goal is. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you've adjusted the rudder if there's nothing rowing the boat. And the beautiful thing here is that he talks about rowing as your systems. A lot of people, we focus on what the goal should be. We don't really think about the systems that we need to put in place or things that we can automate or ways that we can make it easier to achieve the goal. What are the sacrifices we're going to make every single day? Now, one thing I'd like to add to this analogy is the direction you're trying to go is something like your values, those things in life that you never stop wanting. You always want more of them. And for me, my values, I really have 4 of them, and I've talked about this publicly and I've published them, and I talk about these 4 things that I'm always kind of striving towards, and I'm not sure if it's nature or nurture or how I got them. But first things first, my biggest value is freedom. I want to have freedom. I'm the kind of guy who would much rather have a job that pays $75,000 a year and I get complete control over what work I do and when, and my schedule, and when I get to go have fun and golf, and when I get to sit down and work. I would much rather have that than making $500,000 a year and being shackled to my job for 80 hours a week, being told and bossed around what I have to do and doing work that I didn't like. Freedom is huge to me. Second is this whole idea of like engagement, those things in life that make you feel alive. Some people call this the flow state, whether it's in your work or you're playing sports and you completely forget that time is passing and you're just so invested in what it is you're doing. I get this at work sometimes. I get it when I'm playing golf. I get it when I'm developing new skills. And I want to spend the most amount of time in my life in that state of flow. So that's really my second value. Third is talking about community. Life is nothing if you don't have the relationship. So I have a beautiful new niece and I have a wonderful girlfriend and I have all these great friends. I want to spend more time with them and build relationships with great people that I enjoy being around. And lastly, one thing that always comes back for me is reputation. For some reason, I always have this, I don't love to be disliked. And I enjoy being looked at in positive light by other people. And I mean, that's a slippery slope because then maybe you're just trying to be a people pleaser and it's all ego. But the idea is I really love this idea of having a reputation that you've built for being someone that's useful and being someone that provides value. So why am I talking about all this? It's because I think your values, let's even look at it this way, that boat that you're in with the rudder that steers you towards your goal and your rowing, that's your systems, you need somewhere that you actually want the boat to go. And if you just say, oh, I want to get fit this year, or oh, I'd like to save an extra couple $100 a month, it's not really speaking to those deeper values that we hold as people that actually make us excited to go out and achieve these goals. So with freedom being my biggest value, one of my biggest goals is creating more freedom. And what does that really mean? Well, it means having probably a little more free time, building a life where there's more free time involved, and maybe even having a little bit more money. And I know it always comes back to this whole thing about more money, but it's about creating a lifestyle where I have choice. And I think that the best ways I can do that are twofold. First, growing my YouTube audience. This is something that I think is so much fun for me. I find it engaging. It's really exciting. It works towards those reputational things. It works towards building a community. I find it engaging in the moment. And at the same time, if things go well, it could be a massive source of freedom in my life by increasing my income or by allowing me to do something that I enjoy and making money doing that. So my biggest goal for 2021 is to get to 50,000 subscribers. That might seem insane, but a digital mentor I have, his name is Ali Abdal. He's a big YouTuber. He's in the productivity space and the medical school kind of niche. And if I look at his trajectory, which he's shared publicly, it looks like over the course of 18 months, which is how far into this I will be in the end of 2021, he had over 125,000 subscribers. And the second thing I want to do, the second major goal, is I want to grow Haven. And the number I've pegged is by 25%. And what that means is we're going to have to bring in about $2.5 million of new investment dollars. That's kind of how my business works, is the more investment dollars we bring in, the bigger the business gets, the more efficient we get, and the better we can serve our clients. Now, in terms of the freedom piece, this year, I want to also grow by 25%. I want to grow by about $2.5 million, but I also want to hire someone either full-time or part-time who can help me delegate some of the work in terms of requests that are coming in all the time. So growing the business by about 25% and also getting someone in part or full-time who is there solely to help this business run better, that frees up time and it allows me to have a little more of that freedom in my life. Now, the next goal I have is in a previous video, I talked about my personal investment portfolio. And I talked about it, you can find that on my channel. But the idea is that I have a pretty large asset allocation issue in my life right now, which is that I have an alternative investment that's done really well, and now it's much larger. It's a much larger piece of my overall portfolio than I would really like it to be. So I want to save enough. I want to get enough money stuffed into my traditional stock market investment portfolio so that that imbalance is kind of eliminated to some degree. So what that's going to require is I want to save $20,000 this year so I can get my investment account, my public stock market investment account, up to $50,000. That's a big goal that I have for the year. Now, these have all been pretty prudent so far. You know, I want to hire people, I want to build my business, I want to create a community on YouTube. But there's one thing that is purely for fun that's really been bugging me. I had a video on this channel talking about the worst spending decision I've ever made. And long story short, it was about this BMW I bought to try to status signal when I really didn't have that much success or money. The thing started falling apart. It was like $800 a month in service and maintenance bills. It was an absolute catastrophe. So I went and I got rid of that and I bought the most reliable car in the world, a Honda Civic. And now a guy who loves cars and who is having some reasonable amount of, income coming in, I would love nothing more than to splurge on something, a gift to myself. And that has nothing to do with being prudent. It's purely something I find engaging, something that I love to see. It just gets kind of my heart beating. It makes me feel alive. For some reason or another, cars do that to me. So this coming year, one of my goals is to upgrade my car because my lease is coming undone. And long story short, I've got a thing for the Range Rover Sport. And I know it's horrible, but it's just something that I want to achieve. And it's a fun goal. So I'm hoping by the end of the year, when it comes time to renew that lease, I want to get myself into a Range Rover Sport. And that might change, but the idea is a car of that kind of class that can get me excited. So that is a little more on what my values are and what the corresponding goals that can help me attain more of those values that I want to have in my life. But we haven't got to the most important part, which is building systems. When it comes down to any goal, it's fun to think about what the future might be like and all that sort of thing, but we haven't thought through the sacrifices we need to make to get there. So what are the systems I'm going to put in place to help achieve these things? Well, in this situation, I'm actually extremely fortunate because what I've realized so far is even just putting out videos over and over again, I'm up to about 60 videos now. I've been doing it for about 6 months. The opportunities and the serendipity has been crazy. A lot of you guys have come to me saying, hey, I love your philosophy on investing or whatever it might be. I'd like to invest with you and become a client. It's like, oh, that's crazy. I mean, I thought that's something that might happen, but it was never the goal with this whole thing. I've had people come to me and say, hey, I love your business model. I'm a financial advisor. I'd like to pay you for your time and do a phone call and consulting. It's like, what? I never thought that was a possibility. I've had people reach out to me for me to be on their podcast or me to be on their content. So it's like, I'm realizing very quickly that the growth of my business, the growth of my freedom, the growth of my income, and the YouTube project I'm pursuing are all kind of one and the same. They're really all contributing to the same thing at one time. So that's fantastic, because I think the last part of what we need to do is we have our values, we have our goals, we have our systems, but at the end of the day, your brain can only handle so much change. Everyone knows what it's like to have a New Year's resolution and you want to do 16 different things and you end up achieving none of them. But what if we can narrow down every single goal, every single thing that we want to do, every single value that we want more of, we can narrow it down to one thing. And if we look at these goals I have, upgrading my vehicle, that's purely for fun. Getting more money invested in the market, that's fantastic, that's a prudent move. Hiring somebody to help me with my company and growing my business and growing my YouTube, there's all these different things. But the interesting thing is that I'm finding that everything there kind of follows making more money. Making more money so I can upgrade my car, making more money so I can save more, making more money so I can hire somebody, and making more money so that my business grows. But all of this being said, a ton of the growth that I'm experiencing in these areas is coming from YouTube. It's coming from doing this content and having you guys interact with me and the serendipity of all that. So I'm able to take all these things like, I should probably increasing my budget for my car by something crazy like $800 a month. And I need to be saving $1,000 more every month to achieve that savings goal. And I need to be doing all these things. But what I can really focus on is just doing YouTube. That what appears to be bringing all of these things in anyways. So what is the major sacrifice? What is the one thing I can focus on? So if I can just make one sacrifice, which is every single week, try to create 3 different videos that get better and better over time, that's going to help me achieve the goals of growing my business. It's going to help me achieve the goals of saving more money. It's going to help with all of these different things. So at the end of the day, I have all of these goals for the year, but I want to narrow it down to one thing. And that one thing is doing 3 videos a week for the entire year. And I think everything else flows from that. So in summary, guys, when it comes down to goal setting, I've been the person who just doesn't achieve any of the goals because they're not clear and they're cliche and you don't really stick to them. But if you think about your values first, what is the meta ideas in life, the things that you really are excited about and want? And how can you take those and convert them into some sort of physical, tangible thing like making more money or having more free time? And then once you've narrowed that down, look at the system. What is the system I can put in place every single day? Can I automate my investments? Can I commit to making a sacrifice? Can I build these habits? And lastly, how can you break all of those things down and all those different objectives into one thing that you can focus on? So that instead of having 30 different notes and 30 different things you always have to be thinking about, you can think one thing. My one thing, 3 videos a week for an entire year. That's what we're gonna stick to. So anyways, guys, if you enjoy videos like this, we're talking about goal setting, increasing our income, investing, make sure to hit that subscribe button and help me get to that 50,000 subscriber goal, which is big, but we can get there. Thank you so much for watching this video. We'll see you next time.